You're watching the La Via podcast with Rachel Bertoni.
Hi, I'm Rachel Bertoni of Bertoni Gallery, and this is my first podcast. So I'm hoping to share some of my inspiration and creativity with you guys. And I thought I'd just start by telling you I come from an artistic family. Both of my parents have been well-known artists. Both of them are award-winning artists, and I feel blessed to have had two artists as my parents. So I thought that I would just show you very quickly. This is one piece from my father, and my father was an artist his whole life. And he did a lot of pieces for the Navy and the Coast Guard. So basically the government, I think it's the Smithsonian or the National Historic portion of the Smithsonian has about 30 of my father's works. So he is well established, award-winning pieces over the years. My mom is a well-known watercolor painter, and she does very realistic watercolors, and this is just a few examples of the kind of work that my mom does. And she's been collected by a variety of people. She is also in a lot of collections over the years, like Rockwell International, and some major corporations have collected her work. She's been on New York Life. So, you know, what I'm just trying to share with you is a little background that my family is quite established, award-winning artists. And then, you know, as a child, I grew up in this family. So, of course, instead of going to Disney, as a lot of people do, that was not a part of my life. We would go on vacation, and our vacation idea would be to go and paint in the field. So my mom and dad would bring their materials. They would give me their leftover scrap, a paper and some paints, and there I am painting in the field. So at a very early age, I was exposed to creativity, and at a very early age, I knew I always wanted to be an artist. But in our society today, many people are discouraged from becoming an artist. People think you can't make a living, and I have found that I've been able to be creative most of my life, and the older I get, the more I see how you can apply various artistic elements to various things, such as I went to school to become an art teacher, thinking that I would have a few months off during the year. And I thought, oh, okay, I'll do my art in the summer. Well, I was very discouraged with the New York City school system. I could write a whole book on that story, but I won't get into that whole thing. But what I thought I'd share with you is, while being in college, trying to become a teacher, I found a class called Jewelry in Education. And that has basically changed my life. So I took this class as an elective. It was my last year of college. And in that class, I just loved the experience of making jewelry. And by the end of the class, I asked the teacher, is there any other jewelry classes in the school? He said, no, this is the only one. It was really the idea that you would teach a little bit of jewelry, just like you would teach drawing and collage and various things as an art teacher. So it wasn't really meant to be for becoming a jewelry designer. So at the end of the class, my teacher, Jim Warwick, I have to give him credit because he is the one who has inspired basically the rest of my life since college. So anyway, let's see what happened after that. I basically went to him to ask for may I take this class again, because there's no other class and I was going to graduate in 6 months. He said, sure, you'll be my assistant. I was like, your assistant? He said, yeah, you've already taken the one and only class in this college, and you can now assist the other people who are just learning. So by the end of my second class, Mr. Jim Warwick gave me my first tool, and I probably have it around here somewhere, but it was a wire gauge, and he said, you need to go home and make jewelry. And that was sort of the beginning of my life as a jewelry designer. And I've been through a number of steps along the way, but shortly after college, after that first year, I had like a mini portfolio of different kinds of jewelry. So this is the kinds of things that I was doing early on, a lot of wire and beads. And this is an early piece where I learned to solder using sheet metal tubing, and this is bent wire. So, over the years, I've done a number of different techniques, and things have evolved since then. But early on, what I did is I started doing craft fairs, and as I was doing craft fairs and selling, and I didn't make a living right away. I was doing some teaching, I was doing my jewelry, I was doing bartending. Bartending was my ability to make quick money in a short amount of time so that I could do my jewelry on the side. So little by little, I did more and more jewelry. And in the year 2000, I opened my own gallery, which I basically wanted to do my whole life, but I was never able to afford it living in New York. The prices were just outlandish. So I basically found Sugarloaf, which is an artistic community about 50 miles outside of the city, and my then boyfriend, Bob, I called him up and I said, I found the perfect house. And he was like, I didn't know we were looking for a house. So basically he came up the next day and we bought the house, and basically that was the beginning of Bertoni Gallery in 2000. And my hope with Bertoni Gallery is that I inspire people each day. And my jewelry making has evolved from the wire and the sheet metal. And then over the years, I have done a lot of custom pieces. Like this was a music band that wanted me to do their logo. So I made this as a bow tie, and then I made it again as a hat ornament, like a Western kind of a hat ornament. So I've done an awful lot of things for people that you wouldn't think necessarily that I would be doing, but over the years people have come to me with all kinds of crazy ideas. And this is a piece that I've done for Citibank Nigeria. So this was a wax carving, and this was made in 4 separate pieces notched together, and this was sold as a sculpture. I think it was sold in the Studio Museum of Harlem. Over the years, I've evolved from the metalwork, and how that happened was I was at a craft fair shortly after college, maybe in the 80s, late 80s, and someone mentioned the wax carving to me, and I was like, wax carving, what is that? And then I come to find out that it's a whole nother way of working. And I took a class at FIT with another wonderful teacher. His name was Larry Kallenberg, and he has written a book on model making. And basically, he pulled me out in the hall after my first class and said, have you ever done this before? And I was like, no, but I do have a college degree. I studied sculpture. And he basically told me that I should become a model maker. And I was like, well, what's that? He said, you can carve wax every single day, and you can sell those items to companies. So at that point, I became a full-time designer and model maker for companies. One of the companies that I worked for was Michael Anthony. I'm sure many of you have heard of him. He's been on Home Shopping. It's a multi-million-dollar company. And this is just a small selection of the pieces that I made for him. And at some point, I was doing larger pieces, but he asked me, would I consider doing some smaller pieces? And these smaller pieces were carved by me under the microscope with eye surgery tools. And when I tell you the eye surgery tools, they are tiny. And I was over there carving away. And then I basically became a master wax carver. And then I left that company and basically went to a full-time model making career for in the neighborhood of 20 years. So I've had extensive experience in metalwork, waxwork. I also do collage and sculpture. I've won awards for all of them. I've won awards for sculpture, collage, jewelry making, you name it. So at this point in my career, I would like to share some of my knowledge. And I have just opened up a small school here in Warwick, and it's an intimate setting. I would say the most we would have is about 10 students at a time. And it's individualized attention, sharing some of the knowledge that I have over the years. And I'm also inviting other artists to share their knowledge. So at Bertoni Gallery here now, I have quite a collection. I have about 4 or 5 cases of my jewelry. Again, this is some of the miniature kinds of things that I do. And then what am I wearing? This is part of my 18 karat line. And my 18 karat line is one of my latest collections, which all has to do with nature, and I've written some poetry about it. So there are a number of things that I would like to share with the community. Mostly, my jewelry makes me happy, and what I feel in turn happens is when somebody purchases one of my pieces, they're happy, and I feel kind of like that is the full circle in life, right? We make ourselves happy, make someone else happy, and if the whole world was making themselves happy and other people happy, we wouldn't have to be listening to all the nonsense that goes on in the news. So my goal in Bertoni Gallery is to expose people to happiness and art and creativity, and through the classes I believe that I can inspire the community, and I'm opening it up to any artists that might want to join me in that exploration of creativity. And really, I would like to focus on the beginners. So my hope is that the novice will be inspired by me and the artists in the gallery and the teachers that will be teaching their art form. We can inspire the average person to start being creative, because creativity just has a whole array of things that can help people, heal people. I mean, I myself went through some heartaches and headaches as a teenager. I was very ill, and I have overcome many, many things in my life, abuse and drugs and alcohol and you name it. It's been in my life in one way, shape, or form, but at this point in time, I don't get involved in any of that, and my high is jewelry. I get high on stones, I go to stone shows, and I am just thrilled to have a flow of ideas and be inspired every day to make my jewelry or my art or share it with the community. So I am hoping that you will join me for another podcast down the line where I'll be inviting other artists, and my main goal is to inspire the community. I really think that the average person needs a little bit of more creativity in their life. People that think they can't do it, you can do it, because I am involved in writing a book that is historical, talking about some of the early abstract expressionists and various artists, including Kandinsky and Picasso and any number of artists that were working abstract, so that you don't have to worry about what the item looks like. Just have fun, have an experience, let your mind wander. You don't have to be thinking about the news if you're thinking about what you're doing and various things like that. So I thank you for joining me for my first podcast. I hope you enjoyed it, and we are looking forward to seeing you again. And if you'd like to see some more of my jewelry, you can go to bertonijewelry.com, where you can also register for some of the classes that we have. And if you'd like to come visit us in person, we're at 54 Main Street in Warwick, New York, or you can give us a call at 845-324-8686. And look out for our next episode where I might be introducing you to the actual process of making jewelry. We're also going to be having various visiting artists and talks with other creative souls. So let's be inspired today. Thank you.